Welcome to Wake Up American, the daily American English pronunciation show where we help you to spend a little bit of time practicing your American English accent because the key to making significant change in the way you speak is by practicing just a little bit every single day. There are no days off. We are back. And we're going to be focusing today on an aspect of how to actually take the sentences that you say and make any real sentence that you say into something that sounds actually very, very natural in American English by following a couple of very, I don't want to say basic rules, but kind of like fundamental rules that are consistent across sentences. And once you notice them, you're going to hear them in every single sentence that native speakers use. And we're going to be using a single sentence to indicate this. Take a look at what that sentence is going to look like. You're going to see in the sentence, you're going to see some like big slash lines, and we're going to talk about what those mean because these are going to help us break our sentence into manageable sections. Now, before we get into everything, we do want to say, hey, hello to Shok. Good to see you as always. In addition to that, what we want to do is we do want to let you know that all of the things that we're going to talk about are things that we practice in our pronunciation group on Telegram. That's where these sentences and things come from. In the pronunciation group on Telegram, I give a group of words, I send an audio file, and then all the group members can reply with their own audio. So that way you can get actual feedback on the way you sound, because the reality is maybe you have this experience if you talk to native speakers. Hello, also to Kim checking in. Great to see you once more. Maybe if you ever ask native speakers like to listen to you. Hello, also to Tatiana. People are popping in from all over the woodwork. That's great. If you ever ask a native speaker to be like, "Hey, does that sound natural? Does that sound strange?" And they might say, I mean, most likely they'll probably say, "No, it sounds great," but they might say, "Oh, something sounds a little bit weird." And then you ask them why, and they're like, "I don't know, just does." Well, that's not very helpful feedback. Like, how do you know what to take a look at? So that's the whole reason why we have so many of our daily pronunciation services. You know, we have this Wake Up American, we have our Telegram group, we also have our Mission English program. So if those sound like interesting things to you and you want to actually start getting feedback from a teacher, visit fluentamerican.com. But let's take a look at our actual sentence here. So you can see these lines, and you can just take a moment to kind of guess what you think those lines actually mean. But I'm going to read the sentence for you. If that's the case, tell my brother to buy another box for the house. If that's the case, tell my brother to buy another box for the house. So what are these lines even doing? Well, these are broken into sections that we call thought groups. If you haven't heard of a thought group, this exists in pretty much every language, because when we talk, we don't just say one word at a time. I do not say sentences like this. I do not say sentences like this. Do you hear the difference there? Now, what I'm doing is I'm grouping everything together. So, thought groups are words that are going to go together in a unit, typically before a pause. Not always, but very, very frequently. So, it's very important for us to think about how we're grouping words when we're talking. And once we have those groups, we can start doing some very interesting things that are going to be essential that native speakers are doing all the time and that you can start applying to your own speech. So, we have identified 3 thought groups here. If that's the case, tell my brother to buy another box for the house. This is going to be very helpful for a couple of reasons. The first reason is when you have a thought group, you can know that every thought group has one word that's going to receive extra heavy stress. Every word has a thought group that will receive emphasis. A lot of that is going to depend on context. Okay, so I can't tell you what word is going to have the stress. I also can't tell you where the thought group is going to be. There's so much subjectivity. If you ask me how to say this sentence, an hour from now, I might say it a little differently. Okay. So keeping that in mind, let's say for right now, let's put on some stresses. So let's say that we want to stress, and to show this, I'm going to put a little asterisk next to our stressed word. Okay, so let's say if that's the case, I'm going to put some stress on that. I'm gonna put some stress on tell. I'm gonna make this imperative very strong. So I'm gonna put some emphasis on tell. Tell my brother to buy another box for the house. Another. Tell my brother to buy another. I'm gonna also stress another. Okay, so I'm going to put little asterisks next to all the words I'm going to stress. So you see, if that's has an asterisk, tell has an asterisk, and another has an asterisk. Okay, so these are words I'm going to stress. To show stress in American English, we need to do two things in general. You need the syllable to go higher in pitch, and you also need it to be a little bit longer. So, like, if that's the case, do you hear I went, if that, if that, if that? Notice I'm raising the pitch on that. So, this is the very first fundamental. If that, then I get to my next thought group. Tell my brother to buy. So, I'm going up in pitch on tell. Tell my brother to buy. And then the last thought group, another box for the house. Okay, so if that's the case, tell my brother to buy another box for the house. So this is the very first fundamental rule that you will need to use in American English to start sound more natural. Find your thought groups, find your stressed words, go up in pitch on that stressed syllable of your stressed word. That's the only place where you can go up in your thought group. If you raise the pitch anywhere else, your rhythm is going to sound awkward. Just a note. Now, the second thing that's going to be very fundamental to this is that when you change a thought group, you want to change the pitch level. Have you ever heard of someone saying that you sound flat, or you sound monotone, or you sound robotic, or like a robot? What does that even mean? What that means is we don't have enough change in our pitches, so everything is sounding the same. American English needs pitches because we don't have things that other languages have. A lot of other languages have a very harsh consonant sound. A lot of other languages also cut the breath a lot. So, for instance, if you're a Spanish speaker, or if you're a Mandarin speaker, or a Japanese, or Korean, or Arabic, what these languages tend to do is they tend to block the breath a lot. They also have very harsh consonant sounds. So, to give an example of this, a short little phrase in a lot of other languages might sound like "duh, duh, 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 duh," where you can really hear all of those D sounds, right? "Duh, duh, 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 duh." But in American English, we don't have that. American English is going to sound more like "duh, duh, 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 duh." You hear that difference? It flows a lot more. The breath is continuously flowing. So, if we don't have the harsh consonant sounds and we don't have the breath getting stopped, we need another tool that's going to separate words. In my opinion, what we use is pitch. So, this is why pitch is fundamental for making things sound separate from one another. So, going back to our sentence, what we want to do is every time we switch a thought group, we want to change the pitch level. So, let's maybe start high for the first thought group. If that's the case, then our next thought group, tell my brother to buy, and then our last thought group, let's maybe go down again, another box for the house. If that's the case, tell my brother to buy another box for the house. If that's the case, tell my brother to buy another box for the house. Can you hear those differences? How the pitch register for the entire thought group is changing. It's very similar to being in an elevator in an office building. One thought group might be on the 10th floor. If that's the case, the next thought group maybe is on the 5th floor. Tell my brother to buy the last thought group. Maybe we're going to go down to the 1st floor. Another box for the house. But it can be different patterns though, right? Maybe I'll start high. Maybe I'll start on like the 8th floor. If that's the case, maybe then I'll go up. Tell my brother to buy. Do you hear that? If that's the case, tell my brother to buy. And then maybe I'll go higher. Another box for the house. If that's the case, tell my brother to buy another box for the house. If that's the case, tell my brother to buy another box for the house. If that's the case, tell my brother to buy another box for the house. So these are just little quick ways that once you actually start listening for them, you're going to hear native speakers doing these little pitch shifts so frequently. Happens all the time. Okay. So my advice for you for today is not a normal lesson. I know we normally do lots of little quick sentences and things like that. This is something I want you to just start noticing and start applying to your own speech. Play around with finding the stressed word, finding your thought groups, and changing the pitch on each of your thought groups. Now, if you want to actually practice this and get some feedback on if you're doing it right, if it's sounding natural, again, this is where our pronunciation group on Telegram comes in, because what's going to happen today is I'm going to give my Telegram group a bunch of sentences to say with thought groups and the stresses already indicated. I'm going to give them some model audio, and they're going to be able to send in their own audio that I can give suggestions to. Okay, so that's something that all of our Telegram group members are going to have. So they'll actually get some feedback from me on how they're doing this. If that sounds like something you would like to be a part of, here's how you can.
Visit fluentamerican.com for all of our pronunciation services, including memberships, including our daily Telegram program, where you send in files every day and get corrections from us, Mission English, where we meet twice a day in live stream classes, and also our paid video courses so you can start learning right away.
Quick note that the Telegram group is currently $12 a month. The price has gone up. We have 9 spots left at that price point. So make sure you claim it, because it's going to close after that for a time for that price point. And if now is not the best time for the Telegram group, you may have also seen that we have a course called 4-Step American Accent that is completely free, and it's going to walk you through the 4 keys to a natural sound in American English: placement, breath, pitch, and trying to weaken your consonant sounds and strengthen your vowels. All right, guys, start applying this to your speech. Let me know how it goes for you in the comments, and I will see you all later. Have a good day, have a good night, have a good afternoon. You guys take care.